This is Non-Duality Talk for August 9th, 2015. I'm Jerry Katz. My guest is C. Hello, C.
Hello.
We've known each other a few years. We go back.
That's right. We've been talking about nothing for quite a long time.
Yeah, today we're going to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, let's do that.
The bottom of nothing. Yeah, so now you're based in Hawaii and Maui. Are you in Hana or are you outside it somewhere? I can't.
It's like 3 miles past Hana near what they call Waioka or Venus Pool.
Yeah, I love it. Beautiful there. Beautiful there. I went a couple of times to your retreats. Now you're in Idaho, right? You're in Boise, visiting family.
Truly, yeah. My sister's getting married, so
it's
a
great.
joyous occasion.
You know, it's great because I was in Hawaii. When you get off the plane in Hawaii, you get off the plane, and just as you imagine from years ago, the girl in the grass dress puts a lei around you, right? And when you go to Boise, Idaho, you get off the plane. There's a girl putting a bag of Lay's potato chips around your neck. It's different because you go from the beautiful flowers of Hawaii to the potatoes of Idaho, but you get Lay's both times. You're on a flower farm. Part of your farm is flowers.
It's true. The land is on what used to be a flower farm with gingers and heliconias. It's a jungle. It's really not really a farm per se. It's a very beautiful jungle up on a hill and completely peaceful. There's no invisible neighbors, so it's a great place to have a temple.
And you have a temple and retreat opportunities, right?
Yes, small scale, present non-existence. If someone wants to come and sit, I welcome them.
And they can find out stuff from your website, presentnonexistence.org.
Yes.
And that website has it's beautiful. I mean, because you show pictures and you describe the housing for people, and it's very spare, minimal. Well, like you say, it's located in a place where I think that kind of minimalism kind of allows you to be immersed in the jungle. I mean, it doesn't give you much separation from nature.
Yes, and it might be useful for those that have a lot going on in their life to be more minimal. We're off the grid, and yes, you feel pretty much. If you think you're an animal, you're you're really close to other animals there.
Yeah.
And also, it's an opportunity to be very still. There's not a lot else going on up there. But I'm not asking folks to come on vacation. It is a place to seriously practice. I see it as a place for those that are really feel like it's their last lifetime. And knowing that this current lifetime does not even exist.
Getting stabilized in that is maybe could be spending some time immersed in such an intense form of nature.
I don't put any attention on that. It does not matter where you are, really. I just happen to be in a jungle.
Yeah.
It's not about the outward place, obviously.
Well, people have become enlightened in harsh prison conditions, so yeah.
Yeah. What you just said about someone we could be enlightened at anywhere at any time is true, and it's could not be a point in time because we already are that, and so how could it be a point in time?
Yeah, or a point in space.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I guess it becomes unnecessary to even talk about enlightenment, becoming enlightened, or where you are, when you are, or how.
I know, and isn't it amazing? We've been talking about it for all these over a decade or over a lifetime, or
And we're not going to stop.
Seems like all we ever want to talk about, Jerry.
And we're going to keep talking about it.
I know. How beautiful is that?
Yeah, what else you want to talk about? I mean, because it's talking about, at least it's talking about the futility of talking, which
there you go.
Which brings you to what? Brings you just to kind of laughing about it, which is good. Anything gets a laugh.
Absolutely. And we could talk about something that could help others understand the nature of their own being.
That brings it to the,
When no one asks a question, it's, go ahead and ask me a question.
that brings it to the practical. Is you said helping people to, yeah. Um, so that makes it practical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to thank you for being so open to everyone, like open doors
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
all the varieties of expression. I was thinking about you the other day, and I had this image of Saint Francis, and I'm like, yeah, Jerry's like Saint Francis. He just loves all the creatures and welcomes all the beings. It's been really lovely what you've done all these years.
Thank you. Yeah, when we started out that all that non-duality forum, going back to '98 or '99, yeah, that was my sense, just to welcome it all.
Yes.
And you were there. You were right there. We have a meetup group here, and we're meeting up tonight. And the title of the meeting is "Peace Uncaused and Independent," as compared to a relative state of peace. Relative peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you have anything come to mind that to speak about that?
Well, the only piece is non-dual, where there's not a subject and an object, because whenever there's a subject and an object, a seer and a scene, or any kind of a form in an environment, then there is movement and no peace. So one must come to complete peace, in order to be at peace. And that means your experience is one of unicity. It's not divided ever. They call it mauna, silence. That's what Ramana Maharshi taught, and basically the whole teaching could be summed up in be still, be still. And even the Bible has the same teaching, be still. And I'm sure all great religions and philosophies. And so, how do you get to that? How do you get to non-duality, basically? And one would try to find it outside of themselves, because we're so taught to just look outward. And of course, Ramana and many others have pointed out that that's an endless search, looking outward.
Mm.
And many people are trying to find, or maybe want to make peace on earth and stop war. But who's the one that's even saying there is a war? Or who's the one that's even saying that there is unrest or not peace? That's the one that you need to look into in order. Of course, you go to the subject. You need to cease looking outward at all the objects and inspect this subject, or this one that even sees anything. So it's the seer, not the seen.
And I think in your work, I mean, your retreats, I mean, it's a constant pointing to that.
Truly. And I mean, peace could say it all. That's it. That's the end of the story there. When you find true peace, you never can not find it anymore.
Well, some people find it and then don't they lose it, or isn't some kind of stability required because of all the distractions that are out there?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a wavering.
Yeah.
I've never felt that happens, because it's yourself. You cannot not be yourself, the self. When you know that, there's no way you can not be it. It's just like, they say in the scriptures, you're not like a centipede. You never think you're a centipede. Once you know the self, you never were a human being. You never were in a world. The whole thing was illusion. You're not going to forget that. It's like totally obvious. And then you're not in time anymore. You're not in space anymore. And so there's no way you can get back into it or It's like when the snake in the rope story.
Yeah.
Once you understand that thing that you were scared of, that you thought was a snake, you just see, you understand it's a rope. You're not gonna keep thinking it's a snake anymore.
Yeah, but there's still conditioning. I mean, I find it all the time, you know. There used to be a temporary fear that would set up in our small town here. And once I went on it on the whip, the ride of the whip.
Uh-huh.
This was years ago, and I got nauseous on it, right? I got nauseous. So every year I drive past that fair when they set up, and when I would see the whip ride, I get a little bit queasy. That's what I'm
Right.
going on it, you know. So I mean, I think there's still some that conditioning has some kind of an effect, even though you know it's not a snake, it's a rope. So
Yeah, but it's not a person knowing, it's a whole different thing, actually. There's nothing happening. That's going back to peace. There's no movement at all. That's what non-duality is. There cannot be movement, and so there cannot be conditioning. There's one thing to know, say the words, but
so the con-
no,
is
nothing
that way?
moves. Nothing moves in your experience.
So,
So you can't fall out of anything. There's nothing to fall out of.
yeah. So is that a way of saying that even this conditioning feelings and the nausea and all that, that's nothing other than ultimate reality itself?
Yeah, you could say that.
And when you're fixed in that understanding, so there's still experiences, but there's an understanding of them. Is that what I'm hearing anyway?
Well, I guess you could say that the human form goes ahead and does what it does, but that's not who you are by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's part of it. You realize that all that was imaging within the oneself, but it's so temporary and superfluous as to not be there at all.
Some
I
people,
mean, it's seriously not there.
yeah.
Even though it seems like we're talking here.
There's nothing happening.
Nope.
In that case, you know, I could say some crazy, crazy stuff. But anyway,
That's
which I
true.
usually do anyway. So I think it's probably for that reason. Now people talk about like after awakening, and that usually means that you still have a person who's awakened still has some personal issues to deal with. But I hear you saying to just keep remembering that it's really all nothing. I mean, yeah, you might have issues. You might get nauseous when you pass the whip, but it's really. I'm hearing you say it's nothing, and yet at the same time, it seems to be something. I mean, at the same time, it seems to be like both. What do you say about that?
I would say if someone feels that way, they should continue to practice with a really fervent desire because they haven't really understood who they are.
Yeah,
Because you're just plain old not a human being. You don't come and go. You've been here forever and you will always be here. Like there's nothing moving within you, and the experience is, you can say unicity. In other words, there's just plain old nothing happening. I don't know how else to say it because there's no two things to do anything. There's only this one. So to say that someone got enlightened, it's like many say that's it only seems that way when it's not the case. Because when it's the case, you realize there never was a person there. There never was a person with a life. There's something way, way deeper. Uh, call it whatever, the being or presence. It doesn't matter what the name is, but it makes the person that had the life basically non-existent, and I use the term present non-existence, which is a bit of a conundrum for the mind because we we love existence. I think that everyone understands that happiness is existence, is somehow has to do with existence. Like no one wants to go out of existence, and that's why we're so scared to death. If you think you're a human being, like you just don't want to die, you don't even want to look at having to die. Present non-existence can be a practice. Uh, the words themselves, if you think you're anything whatsoever, that is objective. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if there's a sense of a self, it's actually non-existent. So being fully present without any idea what that presence might be, and if anything should arise in it, you know it's non-existent. And that dissolves who you thought you were right then and there.
Yeah.
It might work for some folks. I'd like some folks to give it a try.
But yeah, but it sounds like, no one to be enlightened and no one to awaken, and therefore no, there's no problem with after awakening if there's no one to be awakened. Yeah, you have a really spare, very, extremely non-dual teaching.
Yeah, it seems like a specific thing, and that's why nobody's here.
Well,
I mean, everybody wants to know how they can do well in this life or how they can get enlightened, but it's really something much deeper.
yeah, no, you're really spare, and I mean, you have a beautiful setting there, where a person can be in isolation and so on, and solitude. I mean, you said earlier that you don't need that, to become enlightened, even though there's no one to become enlightened. But yeah, it's just a beautiful place to go and to be alone. If a person, is driven towards that. I mean, some people at some points in their lives just know they have to be alone. They have to go.
Yes.
And if Maui is your place, the jungle, I mean, you're offering something that's going to appeal to a very specific person. This isn't going to be
Yes,
you,
and I see it as someone who's on fire, and a
you,
lot of
there.
people, when they get close to death, is when they finally feel like, so I think I better practice. I think I want to figure this out, what this existence is, and that kind of person with that kind of fervor,
Yeah.
and suffering is often the goad to that. Um, I welcome those people, and maybe it's people on their deathbed, and I will go to them if need be.
You've
You
done
know,
that kind of work with people who are dying, right?
yes, I spent many years as a hospice spiritual caregiver. I mean, I was very interested in how do people deal with this death thing, and they did not deal with it very well. Let me tell you, people are in fear. If you believe you are a body,
Yeah.
then this is not a great thing.
Uh,
And many people avoid it, or I found the most religious types of people were the most fearful people, honestly. So their religion did not work for them. And so I would welcome people at present non-existence who are actually very serious. When Ramana Maharshi, he was thought he was going to die. People that think they're going to die are very serious about practice, and it doesn't happen in time. But I'm saying dabbling in spirituality for me is like, why? Go watch TV. But if you're serious, like, let's go for it.
yeah.
And I could help people with that if there's anyone out there like that.
And there are.
Yeah.
But they have to get out there. And how much time would you spend with someone? I mean, how much of if a person goes for retreat, like how long would they typically could they go for, and how much time would they spend with you? If you can give an example of that.
Someone might come for a few weeks or a month, and they stay in a yurt with an outdoor shower, but the temple is very close, and they could spend as much time studying and meditating, enjoy, or they can jump in the ocean. But then we would have formal meditation a few times a day, and then they can ask questions, and we could look to the scriptures and see what has been said. It's such a beautiful teaching, Advaita Vedanta.
It's an amazing opportunity, and they can tell just from this interview that you don't fool around. I mean,
I
you're
don't.
here, you don't exist. Like,
Well, I'll put them to work as well. They can help me dig in the dirt.
and that's good, right? Work's healthy. Yeah, you got to just make work part of the teaching. You got to work. You got to work. So just make it up, even if it isn't. Just make it up.
For free work. That's all I'm saying.
What? Sorry?
I'm really just
Yeah,
looking for some free workers.
right. It has nothing to do with enlightenment. You're just looking for free work. But yeah, what kind of work are you doing there on the farm, actually?
I mean, well, it's a jungle, and if you don't, basically what you do is you kill stuff, which is hilarious,
What do you,
because there's so many like invasive species that they will just take over all the buildings and all the plants we use for our food if you don't cut back uh, the invasives. So it's a lot of weeding and chopping and stuff like that.
you
And
must,
there's just plenty of food just growing there, like bananas and macadamia nuts and pineapples and all kind of stuff loves to grow there. But you have to keep the invasives off them.
I think you once told me when I was there, I think it was you, and you said that if you put like an old car in the jungle, it'll just get eaten up by the jungle. It'll just get consumed.
In a very short time, you'd be surprised. The jungle's so alive. There's just so much life. It's great. It's great. But, if you want to live in a jungle, basically you have to kill some guys that are trying to kill you. I mean, I don't like killing, but the thing is, I don't mind hitting a mosquito.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, since we're all one.
right. Is there part of the teaching being consumed, or I guess maybe you'd say there's nothing to consume, but
We could start something like that. I like the idea of like self composting. Actually, self composting and present non existence are similar terms. And Ramana had Arunachala. He was very close to the actual earth, which I never did understand. But now that I've lived so close to the earth, I and the Hawaiian people are so connected to the earth. It's not the highest teaching, but it's really very, very powerful.
yeah. And you've been in Hawaii for several years now, over
Man, it's
10 years,
been
10 or 15 or
12 already. Yeah.
12. Yeah, I mean, I was just there for a few days, and it's in my bones because I just remember it. It was amazing.
Yeah. Bones is a strong thing in the Hawaiian culture. That's interesting. You said it's in my bones.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful culture, and where I live has got the most native Hawaiians in all the islands.
Mhm. You remember when I was there, you got some fish from local fishermen, and that's living pretty close to land.
Yeah.
What do you eat there?
Oh, it's wonderful in Hana. We have a community garden. I try to grow food, but it's hard work.
Uh,
I do grow a lot of food, but I also mostly eat from our community garden, which is funded, and they have tractors and nice fluffy soil, and so I basically just eat whatever I get from our community garden every week, and it takes away having to think about what to make. But it's a lot of we grow great sweet potatoes here and cassava and all kinds of. There's tropical greens that we've never heard of on the mainland. Yeah, it's lovely, lovely that way. We don't have apples and peaches and things like that, but we have a lot of other wonderful food. I like the theme of your study group tonight. That's perfect. Peace is the whole thing. The whole ball of wax. The self. Peace could be another word for self, with a capital S. And
Yeah.
you're talking about peace with the capital P, so it's the good stuff.
Yeah, as long as there's that pointing, and we use the word space a lot, so the space out of which maybe a relative peace arises. But then I hear you saying, well, there is no relative peace or something. I don't know how you would say. I shouldn't put your words. I shouldn't be speaking for you when you're right there.
So who's pointing where is what I want to know.
Me, Saint Francis, me.
Saint Francis is pointing to the peace inside himself.
Yeah, or wherever it, yeah, or wherever it is.
It's true. I know. I think I've asked that question to my teacher. It's like, why is it inside, And my teacher said, it's just because it's so easy to find there, and we're so used to looking outward, outward, outward.
Yeah.
And then once you understand what the real inside is, then there is no inside and outside anymore. And so then there's no pointer to be pointing in any direction. And
You want to talk about some of your history of? You have some pretty cool history. I mean, you studied with Doffery John.
since I don't believe in it anymore, it's not that fun to talk about it. You could say anything about the history, right? You could come at it from so many different points of view, and on any given day, it could look like a totally different thing. It's just so superfluous and like dust. Like I don't know, and I think it puts people in the wrong direction to hear about the stories.
All right, trying to get some gossip going.
It's just not where I'm not that interested in talking about it. But I would say that I had a strong desire, and I tried. You use your own intuition of where to find the truth, and you look right, and give yourself over to whatever teaching appeals to you, and give yourself over to it fully, and just don't stop until there's no duality whatsoever. And so, whatever that looks like for you, whoever's listening to this, go for it.
I like that. I like how you just don't want to go to that history place. And I do a lot of interviews, and most people are very willing to go and talk about. I call it spiritual milestones. Most people really are glad to talk about it, but then they usually have that disclaimer, like this is just a story and so on. But you wouldn't even do that disclaimer. You're just saying it's dust. And if you did go back to it, if you felt like it would just look
Well,
anything, today, and it could change in 10 minutes. And
yeah, I mean, look at any history book. Like, what is it? It's not what history was anyway. Thank you for allowing me to speak, because for whatever reason, it just seems like the most fun thing to do.
and you have a temple on your property, and I've seen pictures. There's pictures on your website. It's a beautiful, just structure, simple and beautiful
I
structure.
know. It's amazing because it wasn't happening. I thought it would never happen, and I thought, and then it showed up. I don't know. Life is, who knows? Yeah, there's a temple. Come on over. Build it and they will come. I'm waiting.
Yeah. Oh, it's an extraordinary place. Is there tourism? Because Maui is like two sides to it, and one is everyone knows about Maui, and one is the popular touristy side, which is in its own way has beauty, and then on the other side where you are, it's remote. It's far more remote. Or is it changing? Are they getting more tourists into Hana?
Tourists drive through, but there's very few places to stay out here. So tourists do drive through, but it's not any more built up than it's been. No, it's still very pristine and remote, and it's 2.5 hours to get a screw or a screwdriver.
Yeah, you got to go into town,
Yeah,
the other side of
so
the.
it's pretty remote.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of weirdos like myself living out there.
yeah. Are there other people? Well, you can use the word spiritual, but I mean, are there on the non-dual side? Are there other people there who have teachings or?
People come through on the other side. I mean, Ram Dass lives on this island, and there's a lot of wonderful Hawaiian. They teach plant medicine, and there's wonderful yoga teachers and writers and artists of all kinds. So yeah, but as far as I don't know about other non-dual teachers other than Ram Dass.
Do you know Durga or Danya Durga Moffat? She's in Maui on the other side there.
Oh, I don't know her. Like I say, I've been a hermit. All my neighbors would just know me as C, the farmer.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else we can say, Jer.
Well, we talked about. I think you really, in very few words, really communicated the way where you're coming from.
Yes, and then if someone had a specific question about practice, I could address that.
Do you find that a person is better off living their life from these calls, these drives, these moments of these times in your life when you're on fire? I mean, it seems to me that that's the way to live life, to follow those drives, those choiceless paths that kind of open up.
Yes, I think that all your mundane desires ultimately lead you to your real desire to know who you are.
Mm.
And so, yes.
Yes.
And on the other hand, desirelessness is freedom. So you ride on that desire. And when you get to the actual spiritual quest, then you're on the real ride that true desire takes you to. And then you come to desirelessness, because when there's only one, there's nothing. How could one desire? There's nothing to desire. There's nothing objective. And that's the end of desire right there. Ramana says desirelessness is wisdom. And meditate on that for a while. I mean, in all those superfluous desires of partying and finding the right partner or whatever it is for you, they're always fruitless eventually.
Yeah.
And they always lead to suffering. You're like, dang, that didn't work. So, you just keep going, and eventually everyone will just dissolve into the one. So yeah, I would say go with your desiring. But if you think there's something, go with it.
So, C, thank you very much. Your website again, presentnonexistence.org. You're the teacher. You get the place to go. It's amazing. An amazing offering for people. So good talking to you.
Thank you, wonderful Jerry.
C, I'll talk to you soon.
Aloha.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Bye. And that was my interview with C. C's website is presentnonexistence.org. And if you were listening all along, you know that C lives in Hana, Maui, where she offers retreats to people who are really totally committed to understanding the nature of their own existence. As a bonus, we have some extra time, so here are some audio clips from C's website, and then I'll get back with you at the end of the show. And again, our website is nonduality.org. Here's some more of C.
If you want to understand your own existence, I would suggest taking some time every single day, set the time, go in, sit down, make your body still, park your body, and then investigate your own beingness. What's at the core? So, as Ramana Maharshi instructed, it's quick, it's direct. This is why they call it Veda, the final highest truth. Instead of looking scientifically outside of ourselves, we are going to find the truth of why anything exists. What's this all about? By going in instead of out to the unicity. And the duplicity is wonderful, and science is discovering more and more delicious intricacies of the universe and the beauty. So science, art, and beauty are all wrapped up together. That's just the manifestation of the divine. which is yourself. Instead of looking at beauty, you want to look into I, into your existence. So if you can understand, do not go objectively, return to the subject. Subject is I, which is what all this manifestation and perception and mind comes from. Where does it all come from? So don't worry too much about the terminologies of I. It's not about the word. If there's a thought, whose thought is it? If there's a sensation, whose sensation? But more direct, as we have been taught, is who am I? I. Nisargadatta says it, if you just hold to the I, you will understand. The truth is that I alone exists. I is. I am. You're I. So there's one existence. You want to know that existence directly as yourself. But it's not yourself. It's just, there's no self to it at all, actually. It's selfless. But I'm trying to say, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about you. Because there ain't nobody home here. You have always been, and you always will be. It's existence itself. And this apparent world, if it seems like something's going on around you, how valid is that? What gives the present moment its validity? I mean, there's a lot of talk about being here now and all, but most people think that's like being in a body in a world. That's not the real meaning of that. It's basically to transcend now, transcend time and space, transcend conceptions and perception. So the existence is the present moment. Yourself. But if you can feel it prior to perception, that's how deep you want to know yourself. Who is it that's perceiving all this? Is there a who there? Get like deeper and deeper into your own actual existence. Try to find something. You know, if you're feeling like it's a body, like look way deeper. Who's aware of the body? Is there somebody in charge of all the little functionings of that body? Look deeper, deeper. What gives this moment its validity, its realness? There's something super deep, and it's basically existence itself. And it doesn't exclude this apparent thing. But, you know, you're saying this moment's the real thing because I'm perceiving it through these eyes, these ears. I can touch, I can feel. And then where was that moment in the next moment? That moment's gone. And then you're given the next moment its validity. See what I'm saying? It's like there's something deeper it's deeper than the perceptions and all your ideas about it. But it's prior to mind, so you can't think about it per se. You have to just be it. But deep inquiry and thinking helps you get directly to in the direction you want to go to understand, basically. Because while you're believing like all this other stuff is super true, you're not going to understand the depth of your own existence as a divine, absolute existence. It's not a being. It's just something that never dies, and it's what sages talk about. Because it's super happy, there is no more happiness than kind of understanding the whole ball of wax. And that's not happiness as pertaining to a person. It's just the existence of itself. I mean, we love ourselves. It's like to rest in being with no other. Know what that means for yourself. So that's a good thing to do in this life. If you're moved to it. I wouldn't try to force it too hard, but if you're really into wanting to understand it, you will. You totally will. Because I alone exist. You're I. So it's the same for all of us, that one. So you might think you have a destiny. Doesn't it sometimes it seem like things are just the way they're supposed to be? Like, whoa, this just is so perfect. You know, the human form is pretty much programmed from birth, at least bodily. It functions as it's programmed to do. The child grows, gets older, dies. Like a tree seed falls to the ground, grows, gets older. It doesn't turn into a human. It's a tree. It's destined to be a tree. The human's destined to live a life it's not in charge. The life lives. You see that? Just like a tree. And so as far as like worrying so much about what you're supposed to do, you know, the doing is going on. Better to get to know you yourself. Who actually is this one that thinks it's a human living a life? If you know yourself, you'll definitely understand your destiny. Good to spend time with yourself. Because your destiny is pretty wonderful. It's actually to understand that your existence is awesome. Your existence is all there is. What do I mean by existence? It's like you, the thing that's always there, the being that you are. Being, not a thing, a being, but more like, it's not an action either. It's more like an action maybe, but it's aliveness, awareness, and it's always in this moment, this you, this existence. If you have thoughts that you existed some other time, if it seems like you have a history, like, oh, I was a little girl when I grew up. That's just a thought in your mind now. But beingness is what's real. The thought is not. Past thought is exactly like a future thought. It's just as superfluous and illusory. It's nothing. And the whole picture that's on your being of your perceptions of the present moment is just like that future and that past. It's just a thought. So if you take away perception, because perception is always of something other. How do you take away perception? Who is perceiving? This is what my great teacher Nome taught me. You must find it in yourself. No matter what anybody thinks that Nome's a guy walking around, I can tell you, nobody's home. There's no personal persona. He, like all sages, and like you yourself, don't actually exist as a separate entity. There's just this being. So when someone shows you that, you're eternally grateful. Ramana Maharshi, Master Nome, the whole tradition of Advaita, thank you. It's there for you too. It's called the final highest truth because that's the end of the road, man. You don't exist. Who you thought you were just was goofy. Nothing. Nope. Nada. Just like a dream. But the beingness that you really are, that's pretty great because nothing can hurt you. Yes, it can hurt the body. The body's going to get hurt anyway. It's on the way out. It's dying. But the real you, nothing can touch it. It's just being. You will never go out of existence as being. Now, who would not want that on their deathbed? You don't want to do the body thing because that's not what you are. How horrible, how fearful to misinterpret the joyous wonder that you are with a fleshy meat form. What? You could be an angel. That would still be a misidentification. You could get off on all kind of higher subtle experiences and worlds and all of that is mind stuff. And you can go play there, but if it begins, it's going to have to end. Sorry. You may as well just stay with who you are, which is pure being. No beginning, no end. So let the body do its thing, just like a tree does its thing. You don't need to worry about being in charge anymore if you understand who you are. You were never in charge anyway. So you can give up this whole idea of destiny because Your destiny is always now. Okay. If you want to understand your own existence, I would suggest taking some time every single day. Set the time, go in, sit down, make your body still, park your body, and then investigate your own beingness.
And that's our show with C, whose website is presentnonexistence.org. You've been listening to Non-Duality Talk. I'm Jerry Katz. Our website is nonduality.org. Thank you for listening.